Welcome to the Pacific Northwest, where the roof is open for the first ever postseason game at Safeco Field. Can the Seattle Mariners sweep the Chicago White Sox out of town? You always remember your first, the first ever playoff game here at Safeco, and will it be a memorable experience for the Mariners and their fans? A chance to eliminate the Chicago White Sox here in a beautiful afternoon of outdoor baseball in Seattle. And hello once again, everybody. Welcome to ESPN's Divisional Series coverage. I'm Chris Berman along with Rick Sutcliffe. You can feel it from Mount Rainier. It's one of those days the mountain is out 100 miles away. You can feel it from the Space Needle. You can feel it here at Safeco. They had the flyover. Try that during the Kingdome. I don't think that worked with the roof on. Basically, it's a potential party in Seattle, and we're two guys that enjoy a party. When the Mariners left town last week, these fans didn't even know if they would be in the playoffs. But now all of a sudden, Seattle is the hottest team in baseball. They've got clutch hitting from big names. They've got the defense. They've got relief pitching. They're clicking on all cylinders, son.
Yeah, they certainly are. They knew they were going to get pitching and defense, though. They had to find ways to score runs. They thought that powerful offense of the White Sox would blow them away. But it has been the pressure that they have put on by getting that leadoff man on base. They've scored 12 runs in the 2 games. They're averaging 6 runs per game instead of the White Sox like they did during the regular season. But of those 12 runs they scored, Boomer, 10 of them have been when they've got the leadoff man on base. That has been the key to this series. That'll be the key to the game today.
Even though Ricky Henderson is not starting, we could see him later, and they all play that little ball. Now, the Chicago White Sox, in addition to scoring more runs than anybody else in either league during the regular season, had the most road wins of any team in baseball, and that's 49. So maybe, just maybe, down 0-2, Frank Thomas, 0 for 7. Maybe the pressure's off them a little bit, and the big hurt and the big bats get going. Do you think so?
It could be, but Jerry Manuel said that the key to their year was patience. Well, the manager has kind of lost patience in his lineup because he shook things up a little bit. He got a veteran in there in Harold Baines, a guy that's been there before. He's also moved Charles Johnson up in the lineup. If Frank Thomas cannot get it going, they want to provide some protection for Maglio Ordonez and some other guys that might be able to get the job done.
Jerry Manuel says the worm is going to turn, but do we have enough time? Frank Thomas is playing all 9 innings at first base, so maybe that'll take his mind off the hitting problems that he's had. A couple of all-star hurlers going for the respective squads. Sele and Baldwin, historic afternoon here in Seattle. Enjoy. Is this a pretty good postcard for the first week of October? Temperature low 60s, could get up to 70 degrees for this outdoor baseball here at Safeco Field. And we expect obviously a capacity crowd at Safeco of over 47,000 as the Seattle Mariners take the field. Remember, they left home for that road series in Anaheim, not sure if they were going to get in at all. And so this is the first time since this club has made the playoffs that these fans can show their appreciation. Jerry Manuel has certainly appreciated the way his Chicago White Sox have played. Their 95 wins this season, the best in the American League, but they've been befuddled at the plate thus far. Rick told you that there's a little bit of a change in the White Sox lineup, but not at the top, because those two guys have been hitting. Ray Durham at second base in our Pepsi White Sox lineup. Jose Valentin is at short. Frank Thomas is playing first base today, hitting third. Maglio Ordonez in right field. 41 years young, sweet swinging Harold Baines is the DH. Charles Johnson moves from 9 to 6 in the lineup. Gutty Herbert Perry is at third. Carlos Lee drops to 8th in the lineup, playing left. Chris Singleton, who's hit okay, moves down, and he will hit 9th in center field. And during these 2 games thus far with the Mariners, runners in scoring position, the White Sox have been almost over. Frank Thomas says, you know, he was playing shortstop a little bit during batting practice just to loosen up. And starting this first home game at Safeco Field is one of Washington's own from nearby Paulsbo, Aaron Sele, big free agent offseason signee who has become an all-star hurler and really is their #1 starter. The only reason he didn't start game 1, he had to nail down the pennant Sunday in Anaheim.
Edgar Martinez told me that he has been big for us all year. Well, he also came up big in the month of September. The last 31 days of the season, he was unbeaten. 4 big wins, an ERA of 2.55, and as you said, Boomer, including a no decision in that 5-2 win on Sunday that put him here in the postseason.
Some change here in the defense for Lou Piniella's Mariners as well. Look at the outfield, Rick.
Yeah, but the one constant all year has been John Olerud defensively at first base. Even in the second game, a big play in the very first inning. Paul Abbott struggling. He fell on a ball hit back to him by Paul Konerko. He bounced it to first. Olerud, no problem, came up with it. Abbott settled down, only allowed one unearned run from that point on.
So no Ricky Henderson in left. It's Stan Javier. That's normal against a righty. Raul Ibanez has been swinging a good bat. So Jay Buhner will sit, but he certainly will be the first guy off the bench in a pinch hitting role with a home run needed. Here is Ray Durham, and we are underway at Seattle, and he fouls this one just out of play. David Bell giving it chase.
Jumping on the first pitch, Ray Durham there. Maybe kind of a break for Chicago right off the bat. That ball just barely foul. Bell not able to get to it because you can see the shadows starting to creep out towards that pitcher's mound. The closer they get to the mound, the more difficult it is to pick up the baseball, the less offense we should see.
Ball is down low to Durham, who is 2 for 7 in this series, homered and doubled, a hit in each of the games. 7-4 in 10 innings, a superior ball game on Tuesday in game 1 and 5-2 in game 2 on Wednesday. Game 4 if necessary here tomorrow. Game 5 if necessary back in Chicago. Seattle doesn't want to hear any talk of that, and Sele misses. It's 2-1. Plate umpire today is Tim McClellan. Paul Schreiber at first, Al Clark at second, Jeff Nelson at third, Tim Welke left field line, Chuck Merriweather right field line. Sele is up top, and if there's one thing that I've noticed about Sele, even in his younger days as a Boston Red Sox and his very successful days as a Texas Ranger, maybe the first inning or two he's not as sharp as he is later on. Agree?
Absolutely, as it is with any pitcher, but in particularly in the past with Aaron Sele. One thing you do in the bullpen, you get control of all of your pitches, but you don't get control of the adrenaline. And you can't help but be excited, even a veteran like Aaron Sele, when you look at all of the people that are here this afternoon.
Well, Sele has issued a free pass to Ray Durham, who was a threat, and now 3 for 7 in the series. Jose Valentin, who has also played some inspired defense at shortstop. At the top of the order, the Keystone combination, Durham and Valentin, have played like all-stars. Little drag bunt. McLemore to Olerud, and there's one of those plays you talked about, a little ole, but the sacrifice is made and Durham the second one out.
And how calmly John Olerud is able to make these plays. McLemore's coming as hard as he possibly can. They want to get a runner in scoring position. Do or die for McLemore. He's lucky enough to come up with it and get the throw off. Has no idea where it might go, but John Olerud just sitting there so calm. Just get it to me where I can reach it. I'll make the play.
Now here's a big moment potentially for Frank Thomas to get unraveled. He seemed very loose at the cage. Talked for a while. We told you he took a little infield at shortstop. He's playing first base today. Certainly he's usually the DH. And Sele being very careful inside of the big hurt. Frank 0 for 3 with a couple of walks in game 1, 0 for 4 in game 2. All of them pop-ups, most of them in the infield. Sele, known for that breaking ball, has missed 2-0.
Sele's got to challenge Frank Thomas here. There's no relief in sight with Maglio Ordonez in the on-deck circle. Try not to give Thomas anything to hit and drive in 1 run. You might lead yourself into a big inning.
Well, he's opened up a heck of a count for the big hurt, 3-0. As he looks down to Wallace Johnson at third, I would assume, yes, sir, swing?
I wouldn't.
You would?
I wouldn't. I would try to settle him down yourself. Let him stand there, put the bat on your shoulder, and just take a pitch. We need you to relax.
Moot point, because Sele has issued 2 walks here in the first. By the way, when he walked Durham, that's his first leadoff walk in his last 40 innings. So, you know, first inning, to me, has always been a question with Sele. Remember when he pitched against Anaheim in that clincher on Sunday? Immediately he was in all sorts of trouble. Double, single, walk, walk. 2 runs in, but he got out of it just allowing 2 and then settled down marvelously. And, well, there you have it. Almost more than a run and a half higher in the first inning.
But it looked to me like he pitched around Frank Thomas, Boomer. He threw a curveball with the count 1-0, and then he tried to paint even with the count 3-0 in the outside corner.
The ever-dangerous Maglio Ordonez 1 for 7 this far. Now that pitch looked inside. Almost took out one of our cameramen down there, but I got to tell you, these guys are tough. They do it on no sleep. No line drive baseball is going to bother Ted and the boys down there. No problem. Way to hang in there and take one for the team, Ted. Slow breaking ball. It's outside. 1-1. Well, maybe Sele. I mean, he's a veteran. He's won so many games in the last few years for Lou. Well, not only Lou Piniella, but against Lou Piniella, pitching for Texas. But he's pitching at home in a playoff game. Grew up here, dreamed about playing for the Mariners. Maybe there's some extra butterflies, Rick. Could be. Inside. 2-1. I mean, Aaron Sele, over the last 3 years, has won 50 regular season games, 50 and 32. Yet, maybe just a little extra juice today. Who knows?
Well, everything he's done has been from one corner to the other. I think he's just being too fine right now.
Here's that slow breaking ball. 2-2.
If you go back to the first hitter of the inning, Ray Durham, have your catcher sit down the middle, make something happen right off the bat, challenge him, and then you don't put yourself in this spot where you got two guys on and a guy at home plate that drove in 126 runs already this year.
Crowd making itself heard for the first time of many opportunities this afternoon. Sele, A-Rod, Olerud, double play. A tough turn by the Mariners, but they are the ones that flash the leather. Sele gets himself in trouble, and he gets him out of trouble. The Mariners coming back when we return. It's just such a pleasure to see sun-drenched skies for Seattle baseball. Lou Piniella's Pepsi lineup, a little different today, and Lou is showing that veteran managing comes through as much as veteran playing here in the postseason. He's made all the right moves. Mike Cameron now leads off today with no Ricky. Raul Ibanez is in right, then A-Rod, Edgar Martinez, John Olerud, Stan Javier in left. David Bell has hit well at third. Joe Oliver started game 1, starts game 3 behind the plate. Mark McLemore, the second baseman, hitting ninth. And as opposed to Chicago, the big hitters here, 346 with, of course, homers by Edgar Martinez and John Olerud back-to-back in inning number 10 to win the first game 7-4. All-star right-handed pitcher James Baldwin on the hill at 14-7 doesn't tell his complete story. 11-4 at the All-Star break, but his pitch hurt the second half. And he starts Cameron off with a strike. So Rick Sutcliffe, we obviously will keep an eye on him, as he missed 3 weeks in September with a sore right shoulder. He missed a couple of starts in August with a tired arm. He's going to go out and gut it and throw hard. He's not going to save anything. But what will you look for in him to see if he's hurt?
I think the big key will be what happens when he comes out to start the second inning.
Herbert Perry across to Frank Thomas, and Cameron's gone.
I know from the past history myself of having a bad shoulder, you can get it calmed down in between starts. The trainers have done a terrific job. But once he went to the bullpen, Boomer, and he got it cranking, got it going, all of a sudden that inflammation came back. But you're okay as long as you keep it hot. He went right from the bullpen onto the mound. He wants to work as quick as he can right now. But once the first inning's over with, you come in, you sit down on the bench, and what happens? That throbbing starts coming in there. The swelling starts to come back, and it becomes real difficult when you go out there on the mound and you take that first warm-up pitch in the second inning. It's like, oh, there it is again.
Surprise start. Raul Ibanez in right, and not Jay Buhner here in this home Mariner playoff game. That'll be on the roof for the White Sox dugout. Ibanez has gotten a hit coming in the game halfway through each of the first 2 games, so 2 hits. Lou going with a hot bat, and here's the White Sox D.
Well, you're going to lose something defensively at first base. Frank Thomas, not known for his glove work at all, has problems from time to time with pickoff throws, with throws in the dirt. But I think this is a good move by Jerry Manuel. Get him out there. Right now he's forgetting about his last at bat. He's forgetting that he walked, forgetting that Ordonez couldn't drive in runs. He's got to focus on his defense.
Now Frank at the cage said, you know, it's the playground. It's like the playground. They're playing, you know, out in the field, short, first, batting, or just doing things. And I think that's correct. Get him involved. And so Paul Konerko is on the bench, but maybe he's the guy that comes in to face Arthur Rhodes in that situation. Keep that in mind. Rhodes versus Konerko, that could be a matchup later in the game.
Well, you just think about it now. If you're a Frank Thomas DHing, it might be an hour before your opportunity to come up and hit happens again. What do?
Little excuse me tapper by Ibanez. Nicely handled, as it's been all series, by Ray Durham after Baldwin couldn't ice cream cone it. Wow.
We're seeing some gold glove type plays here in the first inning. Defense for the most part in this series has been pretty good, but this is kind of spectacular. The same kind of play Mark McLemore made. You've got to come as hard as you can, take whatever hop is waiting for you. If you're able to get a handle on it, flip it in that direction. You can't see where the first baseman is. And both of the second basemen here today getting it done.
Alex Rodriguez, 3 hits in the first game, 4 for 10 in the series. A guy that just plays so beyond his 25 years of age. 3 straight years, 40+ home runs. Batting title a few years back at .358. This year hitting at .316. Walked 100 times. He almost is at 200 home runs for his career already. Swinging through that pitch by Baldwin. 1-2. He was an all-star. Baldwin was an all-star. They love A-Rod up here. They hope that they have years to cheer for him. One of the many offseason questions to be answered, but not in October. Alex Rodriguez, Lou Piniella, will they be back with Seattle? Well, let's see how these few weeks, there you go, stay Rod. To right field, coming on Ordonez, makes a nice play as the ball holds up for him. So a 1-2-3 first for James Baldwin. Goose eggs through 1 here in Seattle. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe with you here in Seattle. Temperature now climbing toward the mid-60s. They had outdoor baseball at what, 6 stadium for the Seattle Pilots in the major leagues. And they're 1 year before they became the Brewers, and then not till last year, midway through the season, July 15th, did they open up this yard. Harold Baines almost old enough to have played in 6 stadium as he loops this one to left, and look at that. Manuel's changes have already paid big dividends. 41-year-old Harold Baines is in with the first hit of the day, a double.
Not pretty, nor by design. Harold Baines getting jammed on this ball, but finding the hole. Look at the patience, though, that he had on that first pitch. Staying up there, being aggressive when something come in the zone, but Boomer not expanding that zone. That's the thing that Jerry Manuel and his coaching staff preached to this young ball club coming into the postseason. Don't change. Don't expand the zone.
Breaking ball to Charles Johnson. Hits it to center. Mike Cameron pretty deep. Baines is going to tag on 41-year-old legs. He's in. Harold Baines, in his 21st major league season, tags on the ball hit by Johnson.
And you lead by example, Boomer. You get yourself in a scoring position to start the inning off with. He knows Mike Cameron's going to get set, going to make a strong, accurate throw, but he knows he's got to try to get there. Look at the effort right there on the part of Baines, and think about the lift that's giving that young ball club. There's guys in there on the bench half Harold Baines' age. Look at them all now. They're all coming to the top step. They're all up there looking at Harold Baines. Let's get something on the board.
Yeah, Ricky Henderson, he's 41 years young, not starting today. Maybe there's a quota. You can only start 1 41-year-old per game. I don't know. We had a conversation with the two of them at the cage as Herbert Perry is up a couple days ago. I think we mentioned it earlier. One of the games, Rick was like, gee, I think we had this conversation 20 years ago. Ricky Henderson, Harold Baines, cage, early 80s. trying to choke off this run, but Perry does his job to center field. Cameron trying to give himself a running start. Here comes Baines. Oliver tried to block it, but he could not. So Harold Baines, look at the job that he did in getting the White Sox a lead.
Former managers can make changes in the lineups, but this game always has been and always will be about players. Players go out there and play and do what Harold Baines has just done. This is kind of like Ricky Henderson yesterday when he got on with the walk, sacrificed the second, stole third, scored on the infield ground ball with the infield drawn in. Harold Baines not doing it in the same amount of time that Ricky Henderson did, but nonetheless still as effective.
Now, Harold, in his career, if you're wondering, not exactly Ricky Henderson. He's 34 career stolen bases. Okay, so that would put him, well, over 1,300 behind. But his legs did it here. It's getting it done, not how you get it done. He's not a more classy individual or soft-spoken, but a great guy to be around than Harold Baines. Carlos Lee, busy inning for Mike Cameron in center. Makes the play, but the White Sox break through here on the road. Harold "Growing" Baines hopes the White Sox grow. Bottom of the second inning, Edgar Martinez up for the home Mariners, who now trail the White Sox 1-0. Between innings after he came off, James Baldwin.
Boomer, he's been the emotional leader of this ball club all season long. He's their player rep. He's a top step type guy. And there he was trying to give them some enthusiasm.
And the Mariners give it right back. Well, with Baines in the lineup, I mean, Edgar Martinez at 37 is a spring chicken. Base hit for Edgar. He's now 4 for 9 in the series. He just continues to be a hitting machine.
Well, we mentioned in the first inning, when a guy has shoulder problems, you look at what happens in the second inning. Can he get it going? Can he get it loose again? But let's not be confused. Even if he had it going, the fact that Edgar Martinez got a hit off, we still don't know anything yet.
Here is John Olerud. Like today's starter Aaron Sele, a native son who has come home this season to Seattle. From nearby Bellevue, just across the I-90 bridge, 20 minutes from where we're located here at Safeco Field. Career that high school player, of course, at Washington State. He was so outstanding in the late 80s. After all these years in the majors, in his 12th, he's come home. So can the hometown guys, Olerud and Sele, perhaps play a big hand in this game here at Safeco? Fighting the sun is Carlos Lee. Whoa. Makes the play. Edgar's back.
They were telling me that that was going to be a trouble spot for the White Sox this afternoon. The Seattle Mariners had the opportunity to play 81 games at this ballpark. They know that sun's going to be there. They know how to avoid it. You can see Lee just cringing right there going, look how fortunate he was to get that ball into his glove. He's going to have to fight that all afternoon.
Well, it's because we're so north. I mean, the sun is lower in the sky even here at 1:30 local time. It's the most northern major league park in America. Actually, the Kingdome was 2 blocks farther north if you want to get technical, but it's a big difference. And we should say, as we watch Stan Javier, that shadow that you would normally see creeping across, remember Comiskey got across in about 20 minutes, it's not going anywhere. That shadow you see, that's pretty much where it's going to be. The sun is coming from another direction, so maybe a pitcher's duel as a result of the shadow not moving. Herbert Perry, he fights the sun and makes the play 2 outs.
Well, we were wondering about the shoulder and the arm strength of James Baldwin this afternoon. That last fastball at 90 miles an hour. That's right in his comfort zone. He can touch 93, 94 when he needs to. But for him to locate and have command, it's normally going to be 88 to 90, where it has been here once again in the second.
Third baseman David Bell began the season perhaps the starter at second base, even though McLemore has done so well. But Carlos Guillen got hurt. Bell has been at third, been a fixture there. He's 3 for 8 in the series. 2 hits in game 2, has a double. He's played the hot corner pretty well, though there's been a lot of smashes around his way. And he had a big home run in that pennant clinching game that Sele started in Anaheim. Talked before, David, of course, son of Buddy Bell, who's in the stands today. Buddy, 18 years, Gold Glove, All-Star, never in a postseason game. Here's David in his third. His grandfather, Gus Bell, was a member of the '61 National League champion Cincinnati Reds. He pinch hit 3 times in that series, lost by the Reds to the Yankees in 5 games. But already, you have Gus Bell and Buddy Bell in the major leagues, what, 30-plus years? David has already equaled the grandfather and father total in postseason action, and maybe he's gone one better. Lee jumps and makes the catch. About 3 more feet, and David Bell might have had a home run, but Carlos Lee makes the play, and we're done here with 2. Nice leap, battling the sun, battling the wall, scoreless.
ESPN's presentation of the Division Series is brought to you by Pfizer, where life is our life's work, and by Lincoln Financial Group, clear solutions in a complex world.
View of the Hit It Here Cafe, and already strike 1 here in the top of the 3rd inning. White Sox, Mariners, the White Sox lead at 1-0, and there it is over right field. The Hit It Here Cafe, and I'll tell you what, that would be a bullseye if you get it up there, that's for sure. Chris Singleton hitting 9th today. Tripled in game number 1, came around to score. He was 1 for 5 in game 1, 0 for 2 in game number 2. Down the line, backhanded by Olerud. 1 out.
You just don't realize how good John Olerud is unless you watch him on a daily basis. You watch him for a day or 2, and you might not see anything. You watch him for a week, you're going to see a lot of plays just like that one. The only thing this guy does not do well on a baseball field is self-promote. If he talked about himself a little bit more, there'd be more MVP votes, probably more Gold Glove votes.
He's got 2 World Championship rings with the Toronto Blue Jays, a batting title in that '93 season. Postseason action last year with the Mets, where he really played well in that, especially both series he did. Ray Durham, 1-0, fouls it off, and just to continue with Olerud, the Braves were up 3-0 on the Mets, and he had a big hit in the 8th inning of game 4 to even put the Mets thinking about just winning 1 game. And of course, they had the mammoth 5th game, the mammoth 6th game. He kind of changed the tide of that series almost completely the Mets' way. Just ran out of steam.
How about all the power of the Chicago White Sox?
Yeah, starting with that guy. Look at that.
Yeah, and you think about their only homer in this series came from their leadoff man, Ray Durham, who's up now. 3 of the 5 doubles they've hit come from their first 2 guys in the order.
In there for strikes is Jim McClellan. 2-2 from Sele to Durham.
Well, here comes that command, Boomer, of his fastball. You talked about Sele the first couple of innings. Well, those first couple of innings are gone. There's that good curveball.
Now he'll throw the curve at how many different speeds?
Oh, he'll touch anywhere from 70 to maybe 82. But the thing about him is that when he has command of it, if he misses with it, it's like he did on that last pitch. It's down below the strike zone.
Here's Olerud again. He'll take it himself again. 2 ground balls to John, 2 outs. So there's Bellevue, Washington native trying to pick up Aaron Sele. We told you from Paulsbo, Washington, which is in Kitsap County, which you take one of the ferries. So many ferries here in downtown Seattle. That's so many people come to work. You take it to Bainbridge Island, then you go up a little bit from there, and you are in Paulsbo. Now, some of the locals might call it, jokingly, Brain Dead Island, because there's some interesting times up there. But at any rate, that's your direction to Paulsbo, in case you were wondering.
Wondering how many times John Olerud and Aaron Sele have made that play. Ground ball to first, pitcher cover. They were teammates Sele's freshman year at Washington State. And Sele, I don't know if he was joking or not, but he told me that Olerud was a better pitcher than he was.
Olerud was great as a pitcher. Are you kidding? Olerud was 15-0. So that's no joke. They overlapped 1 year at Washington State in '89. Olerud 87, 89, Sele 89 and 91. Now here they're overlapping in the year 2000, trying to put the Mariners into the ALCS. Valentin tagged out by Oliver, and he is gone. A 1-2-3 third for Aaron Sele, heading to the bottom of the third. 1-0 Pale Hose. Bottom of the third at Safeco Field. Chris Berman and Rick Sutcliffe with you. The Mariners grabbing the 2 games in Chicago. Can Chicago return the favor here in Seattle? Lead at 1-0 and 8-9-1 hitting for the Mariners. Joe Oliver, Mark McLemore, Mike Cameron. Oliver caught, started game number 1, hit a home run. Dan Wilson caught game 2, back to Oliver today. Oliver, of course, the catcher on Lou Pinella's World Championship 1990 Cincinnati Reds. 10 years later, they're at it again. You mentioned what a leader James Baldwin has been for the White Sox. The count is 2-1. Games that he started, 20-8. White Sox 20-8, and that's much better than Sele's, by the way. 22 and 12. 22 and 12.
Yeah, but it's really a stretch for the White Sox to think that he can go out and pitch well here. I mean, this is a guy that's had 4 cortisone shots in that shoulder since the All-Star break. He has not had a win since August. And in his decisions, he's 0-2 in that time with an ERA of 10.5.
Baldwin was the second pitcher to pitch, I believe, for Joe Torre in the All-Star game, and there's a reason why. I'll explain in a minute as the count is full to Oliver. He'll do it again. His wife, expecting any minute, got word the water broke. They got him in the game and they got him out of there. So he pitched and he was gone, and Dad again. It's pitching under pressure, isn't it?
Which he's doing right now and doing well. That velocity is still there. He's just such an emotional leader for this ball club that just for the players to see him out there knowing he's in pain has got to be a lift for them. They've got to be saying in their mind, we've got to reach back and do whatever it is extra we can do to help him out because of what he's doing for us.
So Oliver's gone, 1 out, and Mark McLemore 1 for 3 in the first game, 0 for 3 in the second game. Looks at ball 1 outside. McLemore once again starting second baseman for the AL West champs. Pops it. Out is Valentin. Of course, the AL West champs 96, 98, and 99 with the Texas Rangers. He was at second. Here he is with Seattle. 4 to 5 years he's started in the postseason for the AL West. Well, not the champs. The Mariners, of course, the wild card team, but for an AL West representative. Mike Cameron, former White Sox, has played well, very well. 3 for 8 in the first 2 games, grounded to third to start this game.
You wonder why Ricky Henderson would not be in the lineup. He's scored a run in both of the ball games. And the reason that I find is the fact that Baldwin is quick to home plate out of the stretch. You've got Charles Johnson behind home plate. And they take the times of Baldwin to home. They take the times of Johnson's throw to second. And they know Ricky has lost a step. And the possibility of Ricky stealing with this combination, not as good as some of the others when Ricky started.
And Cameron leading off, and he's done that. They've led off with 4 or 5 different Mariners. I mean, Lou says, of course, I'd like to use the same lineup every day. You can't do it 162 times, but I just feel that there are various scenarios why we should maybe not start Ricky, although that 4th run that Ricky produced kind of invented himself in that second game was just a thing of beauty and a thing of experience.
The thing we noticed Lou was able to do with the off day yesterday, he found that razor.
Yeah, you know, I like his look better with that 1 or 2 day old beard. Yeah, you see now, well, it's worked both ways. He's one clean shaven and he's one with a little 36-hour Nixon stubble. 2-2 to Mike Cameron. Bases clear. James Baldwin and the White Sox lead 1-0 here in the third. To short. Tough little hop for Valentin, but over to Frank Thomas. And a 1-2-3 inning for James Baldwin. He's retired 9 of the 10 batters he's faced. Here comes Frank Thomas. The fellow at the plate, the imposing figure, 6'5" Frank Thomas. Walked in the first inning, so he's yet to get off the hitless schneid. He's 0 for 7, but yet on base for the third time in the series. 2 walks in game 1 and a walk here. Thomas, Ordonez, and Harold Baines, who has the only hit of the game for the White Sox, a double.
All of the numbers are going against Frank. 0 for 7, as you mentioned, Boomer. All 7 outs have come from high fly balls. 4 of those have stayed on the infield during this series.
Here's the pitch that makes him fish, which of course there's plenty of up here in the Pacific Northwest.
Well, I think it's part of the reason Jerry Manuel shook up the lineup a little bit. Frank has struggled all year here at Safeco as well. 1 for 20 this year with no RBIs here in Seattle.
Way outside on that 1-2 pitch. The only series of 3 or more games all year that Frank Thomas has gone hitless, what you're talking about, late May in Seattle, hitless in 3 games here. Something about Mariner pitching, at least thus far, to Frank. Inside again, good eye by the Big Hurt. Count is full now. Sele working him better, but yet now you don't want to work him that well. You don't want to. You better be particular with him. He can erupt at any moment. Again, that's what he's done all series. Skied to left. Stan Javier, the veteran, fights the sun. Thomas is gone.
They say that his swing has gotten a little bit long. The stride has gotten out there a little bit further than it was when he was locked in. And you think about that stride. When that stride gets long, his eye level gets lowered. And maybe that's the reason that his good swings on good pitches are just underneath the baseball.
Ball 1 to Maglio Ordonez, who grounded to short to end the first inning. Ordonez now 1 for 8. Frank 0 for 8.
Sometimes you blame a hitter, though, for not getting hits. You got to give some credit, though, in that situation to Sele. I mean, nobody on, nobody out. You got the confidence to throw a 3-2 hook and a good one at that.
I mean, there aren't that many pitchers in which the curveball is your out pitch. I don't mean there aren't that many pitchers that it's a number 2 pitch that you get guys out, but obviously Bert Blyleven comes to mind. Who else of curveball out pitchers like Sele comes to your mind?
Well, right now it's basically him. Blyleven, Koufax had that great curveball.
Yeah, a few other things. I think every pitch was an out pitch for Sandy, wasn't it?
Why was it every day Sandy pitched? The other team's offense just wasn't any good. You know, why were they off that day? Was it them or him?
Toward the hole and past a diving David Bell. Second hit of the day for the White Sox. Ordonez on, 1 out.
Now Jerry Manuel has the opportunity to do some things offensively. You got Harold Baines up there. We'll take a look at the replay. David Bell doing all he could do. Well, he has played a solid defensive third base during this series. But now you've got speed with Ordonez at first base. 18 stolen bases on the year. A left-handed hitter up there, which blocks the view of the catcher as the runner might take off.
This one slicing toward the seats, the sun-drenched left field seats. Foul.
You've got the lead if you're Jerry Manuel. You can do some things right now. You want to create some motion, put some pressure on Seattle's defense as they have kept on you during this series.
Swinging through the breaking ball is Harold Baines, 0-2. Harold, 2,855 hits for his 21-year career, and a member of the 1983 AL West champion Chicago White Sox. That's back with the Bull and Ron, Mon, Pa, Kittle, and Lamar. Where does it Hoyt and Rich 280Z Dotson and Britt Third Degree Burns? They had nicknames, and they had a young Harold Baines. Managed by Tony La Russa in one of Tony's other lives. And here he is 17 years later, postseason with the White Sox again. It's hard to believe. When you swing like that, maybe it isn't. 1-2 the count from Sele to Baines. Not go the appeal, and actually Jeff Nelson, third base ump, didn't even make even a sign like, come on, Joe, cut it out. Maybe he should appeal to Jeff Nelson, the Yankee reliever. Maybe he'll get a different call. I don't know.
Look at Joe like, come on, you're begging now.
Come on, Joe.
He knows that Baines is dangerous. He knows that Baines has had success in the postseason before. 364 career average with a couple of homers, 8 postseason games. Third time that he has been with the White Sox, and that number 3 on his back has already been retired.
McLemore, Alex Rodriguez, John Olerud, second double play. Turned in by the Mariners behind Aaron Sele with A-Rod due up second. Bottom of the 4th, the White Sox on Baines' double. And the sac fly by Herbert Perry in the second inning lead the Mariners here 1-0. Every Sox postseason nightmare. Yeah, we'll see. They want the sweep here in Seattle. So far, James Baldwin has been more than equal to the task of Aaron Sele. Go M's. Well, this baseball really was hardly on the map up here in Seattle, even though the Mariners, 1977, the second major league entry, took them to 1991 to have a winning record. 15 years. Jim Saturday Night Lefevre, the manager, finally got a winning record, and then they fired him. So thanks a lot, get out. So then we had to go to Lou Piniella. His year here, 93, started to turn it. Magical season in 95 when they overhauled the then California Angels. Had the 1-game playoff, which we televised in the Kingdome here on ESPN. Beat the Yankees. Went on to lose a tough series to Cleveland. Made again the playoffs in 97. Ousted in the first round against Baltimore. And now baseball very much on the consciousness of these people up here in the Pacific Northwest since 95. It was a different story before. They're here to stay now, drawing over 3 million here at Safeco Field. And Sut, you've been here before. I have not. I can see why. Little excuse me by Raul Ibanez, who has now hit safely in all 3 games, although this is the first one he started.
For a manager, it's all about knowing your personnel. Numbers don't always tell the whole story. Ibanez with not a terrific year, just 229 on the year, but he's hitting 500 here in the postseason. Contact type guy, normally a guy that swings real hard. But he was fooled on that fastball away, just tried to get a piece of it, got enough of it to maybe get Seattle's offense going.
Alex Rodriguez flew out to Ordonez in right in the first inning, making him 4 for 11, and he's going to try and bunt his way on. It's a high chopper and a tough angle for Baldwin, but he makes the play to Thomas. Little ball of the Mariners. We're going to take a 40 home run guy and A-Rod and bunt him?
Well, that's not Lou Piniella. That's A-Rod. As it was when Jay Buhner tried to sacrifice bunt on his own earlier. Ended up being a double play, but Seattle also ended up winning. Even though it's a sacrifice here, not a bad idea by A-Rod. Thinking about bunting for the base hit. Good fundamentals there on the part of Baldwin. Catch the ball, get into foul territory, make the throw to the foul side of the base. Frank Thomas a little bit crossed up with his footwork there. Took him a while to get to it, but by Baldwin taking something off on the throw and making the throw high, Thomas could make the play.
You know, there's A-Rod. I mean, let's face it, they weren't exactly playing in on A-Rod in that situation. He tried to fool everyone. Here's Edgar Martinez. Edgar sharp single in the second inning. That was the first Mariner hit.
Well, look at two where he tried to fool the Chicago White Sox defense being back. He wanted to make Frank Thomas try to do something defensively.
Right. Good point, Rick. Just didn't get the ball bounced too high. It was the bunted Baltimore chop.
I'll be really surprised if when we get to the bottom of the order, Mark McLemore doesn't do the same thing.
Something that we should also mention. And there goes the bat. There goes the ball. And Valentin has to kind of steady himself over to Thomas. Ibanez to third base. Always dangerous when the splinter bat goes right by Baldwin. Went to where Valentin began the play and short.
I think what fooled Edgar on this is the fact that Baldwin's arm angle starting to drop a little bit. He has lowered that release point somewhat. That ball just took off. It ran in onto the hands of Edgar Martinez, a release point he is not used to seeing, and something they'll talk about there. Jay Buhner saying, what happened there? Nobody ever breaks your bat. Edgar said, I'm not sure. I don't know where that baseball came from.
John Olerud flew out to left in the second inning. Olerud now 2 for 9 in the series.
He was more up top the first couple of innings. Now we're in the second time around. You just wonder how long that shoulder is going to last. Look at him tucking it right there. Look at him kind of hopping. There's some pain going through that body right now with every pitch released.
And now Johnson's going to go out and just see how he is. That was way outside and just kind of an eephus pitch.
But this is a good move on the part of Charles Johnson, because you go out there and you give that throbbing in that shoulder time to settle down a little bit. I mean, that shooting pain that Baldwin has right now from time to time will take away the feeling in his fingers. But this guy's a warrior. He's been a warrior all year for this ball club. The first game that a starting pitcher won for them this year, he won it against Texas. Jerry Manuel just hoping that he can do it in the postseason.
Misses outside to Olerud. 3-0 with the runner Ibanez, the potential tying run at third.
Well, you got 103 RBIs at home plate. On the on-deck circle, you got 40. So you know that you've got a base open when the tying run is at third base.
Strike on the corner to Olerud. Stan Javier is who you're discussing in the on-deck circle. Starting in left in place of Ricky Henderson. Ricky reportedly, I didn't see him today personally.
He's fine.
He's fine. He wasn't thrilled when he got the word, but he's fine now and probably will play a role later. Check swing Olerud. Ball 4. So now runners at the corners for the veteran Stan Javier, who hits well with runners in scoring position. 313. Javier, one of those seasoned vets. He's had 33 postseason at bats going into this. Remember the champion A's in '89, played on the Giants 97 and other Oakland teams. So Stan has been around.
You see the respect for John Olerud there from James Baldwin. 3-1 pitch rather than challenging. He threw the curveball and he threw it out of the zone. If you want to get selfish and expand it and help me, I'll let you. If not, I think I've got a better chance to get Stan Javier out than you.
Tried to drop one down, did Javier. Now, here's one thing we should remind viewers. We've done all 3 games of this series, so we didn't get into it. You mentioned Frank Thomas at first. Herbert Perry, who has played very well on a very bad hamstring, though, at third. We're surprised the Mariners haven't tried that play even more. So at the corners, vulnerable, yes?
Absolutely. And from time to time, a little vulnerable defensively up the middle, too.
Although not in this series.
It has not been. They've been spectacular.
Yes, sir. Swinging late is Javier.
But it's just, Boomer, it's all about moving runners up, advancing runners. And Seattle has just done such a good job at that. Whether it be Alex Rodriguez laying down a bunt, whether it be Mike Cameron stealing a base to get into scoring position in game 1, Ricky Henderson stealing third in game 2. They have moved runners along. They have kept pressure on the pitching staff of Chicago and also their defense.
Hit sharply off the glove of Durham. So that time, defense doesn't bail the White Sox out. Ibanez scores and we're tied.
Lou Piniella knows that Stan Javier is the type of guy that's going to put it in play. He would be an everyday player at the big league level if it weren't for the fact he does not have the power to produce on a daily basis. But he's a contact type guy. He's a speed guy. He's a defensive guy. That play is very makeable. Ray Durham wanting to pick his starting pitcher James Baldwin up and not able to do it. And not only do you put him on the board, Boomer, but they just let this crowd back in the ballgame.
They rule it ahead, although, as you point out, certainly Durham could have made the play. It was smoked by Javier. And now a 1-1 game. Olerud at second, Javier at first. 2 outs, it's David Bell. David has been on the ball this series. He's hit it hard. Flew out to left, makes him 3 for 9. Make the ball in there for a strike.
Anything that they get out of David Bell offensively, though, is a plus. He's there because of all the big right-handed hitters in the White Sox lineup. They want his defense in the game.
Up top for a ball, 2-1. So there's, although A-Rod was trying to get on, moving that run and manufacturing it again. The Mariners, and this is not your, these are not your father's Mariners. Chopper to third. Perry will beat Olerud to the bag, but Seattle has come up with 1, and we start anew after 4. Tied up here in the Pacific Northwest. As we move along in Division Series play, 1-1 here in the top of the 5th, Game 3 of this best of 5 ALDS. We drop the puck again. The Montreal Canadiens against the Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils on ESPN2 at 7 Eastern, 4 on the West Coast. Devils coached by one-time Canadian standout Larry Robinson. And then from Tokyo at midnight, it's the Penguins and the Predators. A lot of Predators fans in Tokyo. They should be flocking to that game. And you can see Jaromir Jagr's son and the Penguins against the Predators. Midnight Eastern. And that's tomorrow from Tokyo. Eh? Charles Johnson hit 9th the first 2 games, but after 3 for 6, he's moved up to the 6th spot.
Yeah, you say, where did all this offense come from Johnson this year? 31 homers, 91 RBIs. He says he simply learned to relax. I was talking with Harold Baines, who also came over in the trade with Johnson from Baltimore. Harold said that he also learned to trust the hitting instructor there, Terry Crowley. They had a plan and they stuck with it.
Nope. 3-1 to Johnson, who along with Baines came over at the end of July from the Orioles in one of those many bailout trades by the O's. Full count now. In the air to center, coming on is Cameron, and he calls off Mark McLemore, and Mike makes the play. There is 1 out.
Part of the reason Charles Johnson was moved up in the lineup was hoping that because of his experience, he could show some more patience. Take a look at the 3-2 pitch here. That's ball 4. And with some patience, the White Sox could have had a runner at first base and possibly something going. Johnson knows that, frustrated, as this whole team has been during this series.
Well, the shadows, see, considering the game has been going on for over an hour, that hasn't moved very much. We don't lie here on ESPN. I mean, it's a slow moving shadow. It may take all game to get out to the mound in front of this Safeco Field record crowd of 48,010. Herbert Perry sac fly to center, scored Harold Baines with a lone White Sox run. If you're wondering dimensions here at Safeco,
Big.
very big. Left field line is 331. Moved very quickly to 390 in the power alley. Center 405. 387 right field power alley. 327 down the line. They say it's a fair park, and then around the cage, Frank Thomas, Jerry Manuel, and Vaughn Joshua, the batting coach for the White Sox, say, yeah, a fair park for the pitchers.
Well, maybe 10 years ago, this would have been a fair park, but with the ballparks out there today, this one is big. Herbert Perry frustrated there at the fact that home plate umpire Tim McClellan did not ask for help. Down there at first base, Paul Schreiber, the umpire. McClellan said, "You took a swing at it. I don't need help. I saw it."
Full count now to Perry with Carlos Lee on deck. 1-1 game. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe with you here from Seattle. Ball 4. Perry is aboard. Now, what the story of this series has been, and let's not forget the White Sox had the Mariners on the rope but could not advance that 4-3 lead in game 1. First 3 innings, 7-5 Chicago. 4th through 10th, 8-0 Seattle. Just no runs once the game gets moving along. And Lou Piniello's bullpen, 10 scoreless innings. 3 hits, 9 Ks. Unbelievable. There goes the runner, but that ball is laced foul by Carlos Lee.
This is kind of what I thought Jerry Manuel might have done in the last inning when Ordonez got on base with the base hit. He had Harold Baines up there. There was no movement. Baines hit the ground ball. It ended the inning in a double play. There on the first pitch to Carlos Lee. Herbert Perry, even though physically he's not at 100%, still creating some movement. Make somebody on the infield move. You fall behind, it's tough to do those things as a manager. When you're ahead or it's tied, you can. I just think back to not only the fact that Seattle came to Chicago and won game 1, but how they did it. They shut down the heart of the White Sox lineup. 3, 4, 5, and 6 could not get it done, and they scored runs off the White Sox 2 closers. They tied it on Bobby Howry. They won it on Keith Folk.
Meanwhile, as you're talking relievers, how about that 9th inning that Sasaki had in the shadows to end game number 2? I mean, I was talking with Rob Nen. I was in San Francisco yesterday, and Nen says, you know, who's a pretty good closer himself, he said, "Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe what I was watching. That was get out, get out, get out." Bruce Sutter, latter-day Bruce Sutter from Asia. That's what Sasaki did.
Now, how did you talk to Rob Nen yesterday?
Swami has his powers, you know. He's kind of dialed into San
Power
Francisco.
of the plane, huh?
And if mystically I happen to arrive there, so be it. That was a great game and a great win for the Mets in that game. And we may see game number 3 and 4 on ESPN, depending.
Well, this could be a great series here if Chicago could get something going. Lou Piniella has been reluctant to throw a left-handed starter out there against all of the right-handed power hitting players for the White Sox, but he'll have to do it tomorrow with either John Halama, we hear, maybe Jamie Moyer. The White Sox could get something going here, a left-hander on the mound tomorrow. This series might get back to Chicago.
Just missed strike 3. Lee, 301 hitter during the season, hanging in there at 2-2. Carlos, 6'2", 220 from Panama. One of those many major leaguers that, not that many, homered in his first major league at bat. He was the 75th ever to do it. One finds the seats.
I asked manager Jerry Manuel, when during the course of this year did you realize this team was something special? He said it was when we went on the road. Won 49 games this year on the road, most of any team in the American League, but they went on a swing on the road through Cleveland and New York in mid-June. And he said when they went 7-0, this team stepped up in his mind.
They have winning records against all the playoff teams, including Cleveland, who didn't make it. Cameron calls off Javier, makes the play in left center. Perry back to first, 2 out in the 5th. So remember, the White Sox had a couple on, courtesy of Sele walking in the first inning. They didn't come through. They get a run in the second. But as we showed you, Sele just seems to get stronger and stronger as the game goes on. White Sox with 2 hits. They have garnered 3 walks from Sele, so 5 base runners, yet only one has scored. That man, Harold Baines. Change the lineup, Jerry Manuel today, and it's paid off for him thus far. Chris Singleton robbed on a nice play by Olerud in the first inning. Chris now 1 for 8 for the series, tripled in game 1. Fouls it off the screen. 1-1.
Really a down year offensively for Chris Singleton. He hit 300 last year, but as they do, if you've got a hole in your swing, it doesn't take them long to find out. And at the big league level, they can stay there. It's been that fastball we just saw on the previous pitch up and in on the hands of Singleton that has given him trouble this year. Average down from 300 to 250.
Ripped, and Olerud has him again. John Olerud, very goalie-like or a rapier-like glove hand, makes the save. 1-1. That's pretty ingenious right there. A sock sweep. I get it. 1-1. Pitchers duel between two all-star pitchers, Aaron Sele and James Baldwin, here in beautiful Seattle. Joe Oliver swinging at the first pitch sends Manuel Ordonez to the right field line, and he makes the play, and there is 1 out. And we have a very good Sunday night NFL game for you. Mark Brunell and the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Baltimore Ravens, who become the first team since the '85 Bears to turn in back-to-back shutouts. The Ravens thinking about taking over that AFC Central. That follows prime time with, who's that guy? Hey, it's the same time. Tommy Jackson and yours truly, sir. I like this time. That's why I have it. Mark McLemore looks at ball 1. Prime time at 7:30, and our game is at 8:30. It's a very good one. Baltimore and Jacksonville.
McLemore working the count this time. Untypical of him in his last at bat with the count 1-0. Popped up to the shortstop. There you go. You want to make Baldwin throw as many pitches as he possibly can. You get this guy out of the game. As much of an emotional lift as it was for the team to see him out there, it'd be devastating to lose him.
Three and 1 the count on McLemore. Bottom of the lineup. Now he skies it. So how about the job by Baldwin here as he moves to, as Carlos Lee moves over, 2 out in the 5th inning. Now, of course, the first half, both of these pitchers were deserved all-stars, 11-4 and 11-3. After the all-star break, Baldwin, you mentioned, hadn't won at all in September because he missed 3 weeks with sore right shoulder. Sele, on his behalf, was 4-0 in September, so that 6-7 Sele number kind of changed a little bit by the way he pitched in September, but can't tell the difference right now. Baldwin has gutted this out.
Well, another reason Jerry Manuel wanted him on the mound here, of those 14 wins this year for Baldwin, 9 of those came on the road. A record of 9-2 away from Comiskey, an ERA a full point less than what he had at 4.65 on the year.
Mike Cameron hit well to right, but Ordonez is there. And a 1-2-3 inning for James Baldwin. Can the Big Hurt get it going?
ESPN's presentation of the Division Series is brought to you by Gateway. In Gateway Country, people rule. And by new high-endurance Red Zone Intense Antiperspirant for intense people.
Will there be a party tonight in Seattle, or will the Mariner fans have to start worrying? 2-0, they can dispense of the White Sox if they can start scoring. But that's been a tall order against James Baldwin, as it's been for Chicago against Aaron Sele. All-star pitchers looking like the first half pitchers that we just showed you. And we're 1-1 here in the 6th. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe, glad you could be with us here as our coverage continues in the Division Series on ESPN. And oh, there's David Bell. flashing the leather. So both corners excelling here with defense with Seattle.
Every time Chicago thinks something might start to go their way, Seattle does something defensively just like this. That's a double, maybe triple. You got your leadoff man on. You got all kinds of momentum. You get the bench going if that ball gets by David Bell. But it doesn't.
Jose Valentin hit pretty well to center. Mike Cameron comes in and he makes the play. So well hit balls, but economical thus far. 2 for 2 on the pitches, and 2 out now. Bases empty for Frank Thomas.
And I know they're going to call that a base hit off the bat of Stan Javier and an RBI back when they tied it in the bottom of the 4th and Ibanez scored. But that ball could have been caught. That should have gone as an error and an unearned run. The defense and pitching of Seattle has just been the difference in this series.
Thomas at the first pitch. Alex Rodriguez to Olerud. That did not take long. Done here in the 6th inning. A 4-pitch inning. 1-1. Back in Seattle. Now there's some music that we want to hear from Seattle native Jimi Hendrix. A little Purple Haze in the background. And after the Purple Haze clears here, Sports Center with Trey Wingo and Dave Revson and Chris McKendry. I was disappointed to find that Dave was not Dave Chavez Revzine, but it's Dave Revson. That's on Sports Center. And then NBC has the A's and Yankees with Little Pedro. Tim Hudson going against El Duque. Orlando Hernandez in pivotal. Game 3 of that series tied at 1. We know we'll have at least one game tomorrow for you on ESPN. Braves and Cards at 1. Won't bore you with all the details, but it's possible we could have 2 going tomorrow. Mets, Giants, and Braves Cards. 1 on ESPN, 1 on ESPN2, depending on the outcome here. Raul Ibanez. Infield. Herbert Perry makes the play, and there is 1 out. You know, we had a flyover before the game to the national anthem, and you wonder, boy, whatever. I mean, how far do those Blue Angels go if they go over here about 360, 370 miles an hour? You know how far they go? They've landed in the booth. Good job, boys. That's now there's a job that's a little different than ours, although sometimes I feel like we're flying one of those planes. Alex Rodriguez looking for his first hit of the day. Safely in each of the first 2 games. Flew out to right, sacrificed as it went down as a sacrifice, so he's trying to get a hit out of it, perhaps. Little chopper, Perry, charging. Dug out by Frank Thomas. The Big Hurt played 30 games at first this year, but he looked very Stretch McCovey-like on that play.
Well, the guy that threw the pitch is in pain. A gutsy performance on his part. The guy that the baseball was hit to is hurting. His hamstring, his Achilles have bothered him the last 2 months. And the guy at first base is playing first base just to try to help the team out offensively. And what happens? He comes up big defensively.
There's Baldwin. That's a great shot, guys. That leadership you talked about. That real, almost football mentality out there. Quarterback yelling at it, yelling with his teammate, encouraging him.
Well, he's been a top step guy all year for these White Sox, cheering even when he's not involved in the game. But that play by Frank Thomas now, wow, that ball gets past him with the speed of A-Rod. You got a man at third base, you got only 1 out, and Edgar up.
1-1 pitch to Edgar Martinez, up and in, ball 2.
That's the one thing I've not seen Chicago do a lot of, knocking people off the plate, keeping them honest. On the other hand, Seattle has done it seemingly every inning, particularly to the heart of the order. Frank Thomas has been moved every other at bat. Maglio's been knocked down.
Yo, and that hit Edgar.
Now see, the fans here don't like that.
Or did it not? It hit the bat, I guess, huh? It hit the handle of the bat.
But an ace in baseball
Obviously
is a lot like the enforcer in hockey.
Wow.
No, that's just a wild pitch. you know what? It probably wasn't as wild as you think. It might have been right where Baldwin wanted it. He's been watching the last couple of days his big boys get knocked down. And when you're a #1 pitcher in baseball, you're like that enforcer in hockey. When the star goes down, that's when you hit the ice. And you know what? It's the enforcer James Baldwin turn to get out there and set the tone. He's trying to do that now. You get Frank Thomas knocked down, you get Maglio knocked down, they might give a little bit. But you knock their big boy down, now you can go in the dugout and say, hey, I took care of it, now go back to work.
Edgar on first, John Olerud up with 2 outs. And I talked with Alex Rodriguez for a while before the game, and he said there was a spring training time when much of the team was in an away game and they were just doing sprints and finishing their workout. And A-Rod, as this is deep to left field down the line, but lacing foul. A-Rod said, we just got in a little discussion out there about hitting, and he said he was like a little kid talking to 2 professors, Edgar Martinez and John Olerud. He said it turned into, they were doing sprints, they were finishing up for the day, turned into a 90-minute or 2-hour discussion about what they learned and different hitting coaches and different styles and changing with pitchers and changing. A-Rod said he was just listening, as good a hitter as he is, and already won a batting championship. He's had his jaw down, was listening. He said, we thought the discussion would continue until the team came back from their road game in the Cactus League. And he said, I just try and pick up from the best that I can. And well,
his eyes and his ears work real well, don't
yes,
they?
they do. It's an interesting discussion from a guy who's already at the top of his game, trying to learn more from others who are at the top of their game. Olerud fouls it back.
I don't think James Baldwin can pitch any better than he has here this afternoon. He got a break. Back in the 2nd inning, David Bell lined the ball. Carlos Lee went up and made a nice play. But he got a bad break in the 4th inning when Durham could not come up with that ground ball.
That's going to be wide at first, but a good effort by Frank Thomas again.
How about this, huh? You got to give these White Sox some credit. People are going to say they should have won this series. Maybe they didn't. But you got to think about the great year that they had this year. This team last year was 21.5 games back of the Cleveland Indians. They not only caught them, they went on to win 95 games. That was the best in the American League. That was 20 more wins this year than they had last year. They're playing hard. Might just be trying a little too hard.
Well, they have counted on their bullpen all year. And although it hasn't delivered in this series as of yet, and maybe this is set up. There's pitching coach Nardi Contreras, who worked here with the Mariners under Lou Piniella for a year and a half, 97, 98. But no need for a bullpen when you get a line like that out of your starter. Not yet. Olerud continues to fight the strikes.
Oh, when you see that number at the end of that box score, only 1 strikeout, you realize that James Baldwin doesn't have his best stuff. He can locate his fastball. His change has been okay. He's gotten some outs with it. But he, too, like Sele, has a good overhand sharp curveball for strikeouts that he has just not shown much of here this afternoon.
8th pitch to Olerud. Works him for ball 2-2. You mentioned it, the strikeouts. He averages about 6 a game, 6 per 9 innings this ballpark. One run, 2 hits, Chicago. 1 run, 3 hits, Seattle. Full count now. So Olerud fouling off all those strikes. Now we'll look at the 11th pitch of this at bat. Crowd coming to its feet. At least in part of the park. Just quiet him down for a moment.
And that's all James Baldwin right there. That's a veteran there knowing. Step off, take your time, try to take him out of it, then make a pitch to completely get him out of it.
Obviously on that situation, Edgar Martinez running on 3-2 with 2 outs. He fouls it off, so now pitch number 12. Bobby Howry up First action in the bullpen. Right-hander, 27 years of age. One of the many hard throwers the White Sox used to win those 95 games this year. Rip down the line, but foul. Nice play made over there. You gotta bring your glove to the game. I mean, you just have to.
Runners off and going. This ball's fair. Even Edgar Martinez, no faster than he is, might have been able to score because of all of the space that you have here at Safeco.
Wow, you talk about working your way on base with a walk. Olerud did just that. So Martinez to second, Olerud to first, 2 out for Stan Javier. And a visit to the mound by Contreras.
This is the Seattle Mariners offense at its best right here. Their on-base percentage, second best in the American League this year at .361. 140 more times they were able to draw a base on ball more than their opponent. That means your pitching staff's throwing strikes and your hitters for the most part are taking balls. Baldwin wanting that pitch called. Can't believe Olerud was able to lay off of it with these shadows. But the patience of Olerud in that bat, the fact that he worked the count, created a lot of effort on the part of Baldwin.
The Mariners this year walked 775 times to lead the majors. Oakland got the pub for walking. They were just 750. 775 walks and back-to-back walks here. Baldwin has issued 3. And here Lou Piniella, not with Ricky Henderson, but Stan Javier in left. Let's see if this move pays off. It already has with a controversial error hit, but no matter, Javier drove in the 1 run thus far with 2 out in the 4th. Driving another run or 2 with 2 out in the 6th.
Takes some nerve for Piniella to change his lineup after winning the first 2 games. You can see why Jerry Manuel might want to make some changes after losing them.
Gets a strike in the outside corner, 1-1. Through it, 1-2.
It just puts so much pressure on your infield with that runner in scoring position. You know Frank Thomas is not a Gold Glove first baseman. They get a ground ball. They've not only got to come up with it cleanly, they got to make a good throw. Thomas made a nice scoop earlier, but you can't count on that all the time.
Up top, 2-2. You're 1 pitch away from my favorite play. You know that. They're not exactly, Carl Lewis on the base pass. Edgar Martinez and John Olerud, but another ball, and if they're moving on the pitch after that, that'll change things. Fouled it off, remains at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, bottom 6. 1-1 White Sox Mariners. Game 4 tomorrow afternoon, if necessary. Game 5, if necessary, in Chicago, where we understand it's gone from 75 degrees when we were there to perhaps snow squalls on Sunday. A lot of room in right center field if Javier can get around. He's not done that yet. Just like Olerud, huh? Fouling him off.
And they have signaled the White Sox bullpen that Bobby Howry is ready. And even right now, Jerry Manuel's got to be thrilled with the effort and the results that he's gotten out of James Baldwin. He can only sit back and hope for 1 more out.
Look at the room in right center. If Javier could go right over the umpire. Working.
I think they took a chance there. They had been staying away. You pitch them away, you play them away. But look at Johnson on this pitch sitting middle in. Boy, if Javier could have put that ball in play, as you said, it is wide open out there in right center. And to do that, normally you have to have a pitch on the inner half of the plate where that one was.
Yes, he did. Fooled him. Broke it inside. Javier bit. 2 are stranded. We've played 6. Remain tied at 1. Top of the 7th, 1-1. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe, and James Baldwin. Sut did his job getting Javier.
Look at the breaking ball there. You could see the downward rotation. When you throw that breaking ball, you take your arm through the delivery, and then right at the end you've got to snap it off. Well, that's going to cause even more pain in that shoulder for Baldwin, but he had to go that route. He needed that out. Javier was on the fastball. He was fouling off the changeup. You give him that 3rd pitch, you get that 3rd strike, and a huge out for Chicago.
So we begin the Chicago 7th. Ordonez, Baines, and Johnson. You know, as much as we're waiting for Frank Thomas to erupt a little bit, so this guy. I mean, I did a hit today. He's been hit in game 1, but you know how good a hitter he is. I mean, they've dodged lots of bullets. Obviously, the pitching in Seattle is wide, but he could be the one. Little fister. Olerud plays it in foul ground, 1 out. Our Panasonic in-game box score for the White Sox. Well, they only have amassed a couple of hits. Ordonez with one of them, Baines with the double, and scoring the lone run on the sac fly by Perry in inning number 2. Thomas at first, Baines at DH, Johnson up to 6, lead down to 8. Hadn't made much of a difference yet for these hard-hitting White Sox, and here's busy Olerud making yet another putout.
That's the 4th time John Olerud has made a play unassisted. This is probably the easiest one of the afternoon that he's had. These shadows have to be bothering the hitters right now. Javier full with the curveball. Baines full with the curveball there. Ordonez not even close to getting around on the fastball. And you can tell by that swing right there. You're looking fastball. First pitch fastball. You get it. Aaron Sele does not throw that hard. Low 90s. And you're fouling it over the first base dugout. Your swing is that late. They're just not picking it up.
1-1 to Charles Johnson. Flown out twice to center field. 3 for 8 now in the series. No, he did not go. Paul Schreiber at first. Missed down and away. 3-1 to Johnson with Herbert Perry on deck.
I really like the way Aaron Sele has paced this game. Taking a little bit of time right now because the count's 3-1, wants to make a good pitch, but for the most part he has worked quickly.
Hit well to right, and it's just foul.
And foul because he's late on it once again. They're just waiting too long to react to that because in the back of their minds they know he's got a great curveball and he's got a lot of confidence in it.
It at short. A 1-2-3 inning for Sele, his 2nd in a row. 7th inning stretch time here in Seattle, tied at 1. 7th inning stretch time here, and a native Seattle group, the Kingsmen. Louis playing. Can the Mariners get hit? They have not much against James Baldwin through his 6th. As Panasonic in-game box score shows that Bañez has got a hit in each of the 3 games and scored the run on a 2-out single by Stan Javier in the 4th inning. So that's what we've seen thus far. Just 5 hits in the game, 3 Seattle, 2 White Sox, and you cannot talk enough about the pitching of James Baldwin, which we will in a minute. But here comes Bobby Howry. Did not work game 2. Game 1 came in. Rick Sutcliffe walked Buhner, gave up a double to Bell. He's had a fine year, but did not deliver in that instance.
Well, he was charged with the run, but he actually didn't allow the run to be scored. He was lifted with the bases loaded, and 2 outs. Chad Bradford was brought in. 2-strike base hit off the bat of Mike Cameron scored that tying run. So Howery really didn't give it up, but nonetheless he put it on.
David Bell, Joe Oliver, Mark McLemore, 7, 8, 9 in the Mariners order.
He's the type of guy, excuse me, Boomer, not going to mess around with you. Fastball, slider, hard, and harder. And both of them quality pitches.
Count is 2-1. There's the 27-year-old Howery in from Glendale, Arizona. One of several of these pitchers on this staff that came over in that trade for the Giants in July of '97. Famed trade of Alvarez and Roberto Hernandez. Danny Darwin going to San Francisco. Howery over. Keith Folk over. Sele over. Trade paid dividends then for the Giants, now for the White Sox. What about the job that James Baldwin did?
You can't say enough about him going out there trying to lead his club to victory. You can't think enough about him either, though. This guy is just 29 years of age, and to go out there and take a chance on hurting that shoulder even worse, possibly ending his career, tells you how much the team means to him.
Hit by Bell to left. Carlos Lee will have it fall in front of him, and the leadoff man is on for the Mariners for the 3rd time today.
Now watch him go. Watch him advance runners, put pressure on the infielders. Joe Oliver taking a long look at Larry Boa. Boa going through a lot of signs. If you're down by 1, your hands are tied. You got to sacrifice, put him into scoring position, hope you get back to the top of the order and get him in. But with Lou Piniella being tied, I mean, this guy's got to be a great blackjack player. Got to be a great poker player.
Joe Oliver sets it down. Howery must go to Durham covering, and there it is. You called for it. Took one play, and Bell is in scoring position.
You just don't know what Lou Piniella is going to do, though. He's going to the sacrifice here because he knows Joe Oliver. They've got a history. They go back to Cincinnati. I know he can get the bunt down. He does. But now you put the green light on for David Bell. Only 2 stolen bases on the year, but if you get a jump back there, you think you can make it, take off. Piniella with so much confidence in this veteran ball club. That was the one thing he talked about when this series started. The big advantage they had was experience over Chicago.
Bell at second, 1 out, and Mark McLemore is up. 1 for 8 in the series. In on the grass at third is Perry. Strike 1. Lou Piniella has Arthur Rhodes up in his bullpen. So now's the point of the game where the wheels start to move a little bit faster and a little more often. In there for a strike. Just got the outside corner. Did the 6'5" Howery. There is Arthur Thunder Rhodes, part of the reason why the Mariners are 10 innings of scoreless relief with just 3 hits and 9 strikeouts. Swinging through it is McLemore, and he will sit. So 2 outs, big strikeout for Howery, and here comes the top of the order, Mike Cameron.
You know, the crowd wasn't happy with the first 2 pitches called strikes on Mark McLemore, but overall we've not seen any complaining at all from the players today about the strike zone of the home plate umpire Tim McClellan. As tough as it is to see the ball and hit it as a hitter, it's equally as tough for an umpire to make those borderline calls.
You see the shadow has just about reached the pitcher's rubber. Pitcher standing in the sunlight, but pretty soon it finally will get to the mound, and here's Mike Cameron, who will try to Swayze one, if you will. 1-0.
got it.
Well, it's just that was just an aside.
Had to go back a way.
Yeah. We took a look, and I don't know if we're ticking, but always knows what time it is. 1-1.
Seeing the bullpen come in for Chicago again. I think back to Boston last year and how banged up their starters were. Chicago starters banged up this year, but Boston relied on their bullpen. They also had a guy named Pedro Martinez that helped them get by Cleveland. But that's what Chicago has to do now. Rely on their pen.
In there for a strike. 1-2. Bell, the runner at second base. The go-ahead run. Jerry Manuel hoping this time his bullpen does what it's done almost all year. Two and two. We're wondering where everybody is, by the way. Come on now. They hate when they have to put noise on the board to get them going in a 1-1 game with a runner at second. Wow. Seventh inning. Come on now. Maybe the lattes haven't kicked in yet.
They have up here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Handled by Valentin. Over to Thomas. Howery does the job, and we move to the eighth. 1-1 here in Seattle. Who will break through? Top of the eighth, 1-1 White Sox Mariners, and this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Commissioner of Baseball, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Log on to MajorLeagueBaseball.com for the most complete baseball coverage on the internet. We had a visit from the commissioner, Bud Sele, who was great in game one. We saw the COO, Paul Beeston, game number 2, and they gave us permission to read that card. We got the Blue Angels with us now. I guess we got high-flying guys every game, huh, Sut? Herbert Perry, Carlos Lee, and Chris Singleton, and you were surprised that Aaron Sele is pitching here in the top of the eighth.
Well, when I saw Arthur Rhodes up in the bullpen, I figured that he was up to come in, but he sat back down. Aaron Sele must have convinced pitching coach Brian Price and Lou Piniella that he could go back out, if not for the whole inning, at least to face the next 2 hitters, which are right-handed, then bring in the left-handed reliever.
Foul back by Perry, 0-2.
I tell you what, watching these swings right now, though, I mean, you got to give credit to the pitching, but the hitting is just so handicapped. Anybody would want to pitch in these conditions where they cannot pick up the rotation on the baseball.
91 pitches, 2 hits allowed by Sele, and he's the all-star hurler that certainly has pitched every bit of that, as did his opposite James Baldwin. Misses inside to Perry. 1-2. For Sele, this is now the 15th time he's gone over 7 innings. That was kind of a bizarre one. More.
If I'm Aaron Sele and I see Herbert Perry still standing at home, I might have had to hit the ground and taken a dive to try to smother that ball, keep it in play. I don't know why he wasn't running. This ball didn't hit off him. You pick that ball up right there, you keep it fair, you get the leadoff guy out. That's been the key for Seattle's offense during this series. 12 runs they've scored, 10 times they had the leadoff guy on.
It's in the dirt to Oliver, now 2-2.
The last time Chicago had the leadoff man on in this ball game was back in the second when Harold Baines hit that double, and that's the only run they have.
Sele has retired 8 in a row, but there's the leadoff man, Herbert Perry, on a 2-2 pitch, a base hit to right, hamstring and all. He's got his 4th hit of the series. Former quarterback and punter at the University of Florida, playing with football type grit, and now comes the pinch runner for the White Sox, and that's going to be Tony Graffagnino, one of 5 White Sox that has some postseason experience before this series. So Graffinino to run for Perry, and I would imagine would stay in at third. Getting talked to by Brian Little, the first base coach, as Carlos Lee is up. 2 fly ball outs for Carlos today. Herbert Perry's got a hit in every game. He's really the only one that's done that for Chicago. Breaker got away from it. Looked like it just sailed out of the grip, huh, Britt?
Yeah. Also missed with his spot on that last pitch to Herbert Perry. Got a little too much of the plate. When he was dealing during the heart of this game, that curveball, when he missed down. But for the most part, he was throwing out of the windup. You pinch run with a little bit of speed with Graffinino at first base. Pitcher has to get quicker to home plate. And sometimes your arm gets caught lagging behind.
Keeping an eye on Graffinino.
He's just wanting to make sure that Carlos Lee is still bunting, hoping that Carlos will tip his hand by squaring around too soon.
Graffinino has stolen 7 bases this year, been caught 4 times. He just played in 70 games, and in that, it's really not 70 complete games. There he goes, hit to right. Ibanez is there, first battling the sun. Now here comes the throw in. Graffinino had to hustle back, 1 out. And Lou is coming to the mound. Looks like we're going to have Arthur Rhodes coming in for Sele with the left-hander Chris Singleton due up next.
Well, he doesn't like what he's seen. The last 2 balls hit hard, but give Jerry Manuel some credit right there. The thing to do as a manager to cover yourself, lay down the sacrifice bunt. But he knows his club has not driven in runs with runners in scoring position. So put it in play.
Standing ovation for the young man from Paulsbo, Washington, native Washingtonian, Aaron Sele. Well done. Top of the 8th of a 1-1 game. Here's the game within a game. Listen to White Sox first base coach Brian Little talking to the runner Tony Graffinino on that ball hit by Carlos Lee to right field.
Just in case he didn't get the sign.
Get back here! Back here! Get back here! Get back here! Get back here! Stay here.
He knows what's going on. Raul Ibanez is trying to deke him right there. He wants him to keep going. Think I don't know where that ball's at. Turn your back on me and keep going. But if not for the fact that Brian Little was hollering at him, get back, get back. And also I like the point of Brian telling him to get going. Just in case he missed the sign from the third base coach, Wallace Johnson. As a first base coach, you're helping him out.
The new pitcher is left-handed fireballer Arthur Rhodes. And he will face, came in 2/3 and got 2 outs in game 1, came in, got 2 outs and then walked 2 in game 2. And he will face something we talked about at the beginning of the game. Paul Konerko, right-handed, normal starting first baseman, pinch hits for Chris Singleton. The curveballs that Sele has thrown, this will be a different reading on the old stimp meter.
Yeah, this is normally around 94, 95. With this crowd, they start to get into it a little bit with 2 strikes. It can reach 97, 98.
Little fister. McLemore got him and converts the double play. What a heads-up play by Mark McLemore as he makes the tag and makes the double play. The Seattle Mariners have just spun their 3rd double play of this 1-1 ball game, and it was all Mark McLemore.
Look at him right here. He gets in the way of the runner, Graffinino, makes a swipe tag, and plenty of time to double him up. The Seattle Mariners coaching staff telling me before the game today, McLemore is not going to get considered for the Gold Glove, but he should. Johnny Oates telling me earlier this year that one of the guys they lost, being the Texas Rangers, Aaron Sele, Juan Gonzalez, but the guy they missed most was Mark McLemore and the leadership that he had in Texas that he has here in Seattle.
Well, we had a 4-4 game in game one, go to 10 innings until Edgar Martinez and John Olerud hit back-to-back home runs, a 2-run shot and a solo shot. Here we are 1-1 in the 8th. And the Mariners, do you have the feel that maybe they're going to build something? I tell you, Lou Piniella does, because Sasaki in a tie game is already up and throwing. McKay Christensen goes in. There he is. There's Kazu Sasaki. McKay Christensen is in center field. He will go into the spot that Konerko occupied, the number 9 spot, and Graffinino, as expected, stays at third base. Ibanez, A-Rod, and Edgar Martinez facing Bobby Howry. Raul Ibanez singled, hitting all 3 games. So he is 3 for 7. Singled and lead off the 4th, and that's the lone run that they scored. Graffinino, sorry.
No, I'm just talking about that Seattle bullpen once again. Get a man on first. Chicago thinks they might get something going. Arthur Rhodes just shatters the bat for a double play.
Ibanez sharply to short. Valentine, a nice throw to Frank Thomas, and he is out. How about Rhodes? 1 pitch, 2 outs. That's always a good one. Always a good one.
Well, another thing that jumps out at you in this series, you think the power of Chicago would be the difference, but that's not the case. 1 homer for them, 4 homers for the Seattle Mariners.
Well, let's see. Edgar's homer, Olerud's homer.
You got it right.
Alex Rodriguez is at the plate.
That's what I'm thinking too.
He's 0 for 2 with the sacrifice. Buhner's homer, Oliver. In there for a strike from Howry. One homers this year from A-Rod.
Tied for 4th in the American League with those.
Nibbling low and away, doesn't get it. It's 1-1.
Hit 344 during the year in afternoon ball games.
Jose Paniagua, who was so impressive in game 1. Kazuhiro Sasaki, the closer, up and throwing in the bullpen. And ahead of A-Rod is Bobby Howry, 1-2. Howry came on for James Baldwin to pitch the 7th. Arthur Rhodes came on in relief of Sele here in the top of the 8th, and there's that leader, James Baldwin. You cannot understate what he did. So much for that feeling. Howry just took that feeling and spun it right by A-Rod. 2 out.
Jerry Manuel said the one thing he looks for in his ball club is for people to be fearless. Well, that's fearless right there when you challenge A-Rod in this situation with that location. I'm coming at you. If you beat me, so be it. That's the way these Chicago White Sox have played all year.
Edgar Martinez won the 5th game at the Kingdome and the ALDS against the Yankees with that 11th inning 2-run double. Will he put the Mariners back into the AL Championship Series in a 1-1 game in the bottom of the 8th?
Good move right here by the assistant pitching coach for the Chicago White Sox, Charles Johnson. That's basically the job of your catcher. The pitching coach, Nardi Contreras, he can't go to the mound all of the time. Only once an inning before he has to make a move. That's a good move from Charles Johnson there. Bobby Howry shaking off a lot of pitches, a lot of indecision as to what to do. Hey, your power is challenging people. Don't think about pitching around Edgar and think you can get John Olerud out. You don't want to put these guys any closer to home plate than you have to. We got to make a pitch here, and that's what they're talking about now, Boomer. What pitch it's going to be.
You know, this is pitching all the way. I mean, people forget it. The White Sox had a chance in the first game. There's a ball that was hit by Valentine. Had it plunked on the line, they would have had a 6-3 lead. But as a result, this happened. When they didn't get the lead, Edgar hit the 2-run shot in the 10th inning. Olerud followed with a homer. As Edgar on pace again. It's been tremendous pitching, and a breaking ball is in there for a strike. Folk and Wunsch up in the Chicago pen. We showed you Paniagua and Sasaki in the Seattle pen. One and one to 37-year-old Edgar Martinez, who's 145 RBIs, won the AL race this year, and was the most ever by a major leaguer at 37 years of age or older, breaking the mark of 137 done by Babe Ruth. Foul.
A lot of the Mariners hitters really struggled here at Safeco. As a team, they hit a lot higher on the road. Edgar Martinez really struggled here at Safeco. He only hit 304 this year. He hits about 340.
What's the matter with him? He can't hit it home?
Well, that tells you how tough this park is, Boom.
That shot, like this little spotlight on the banner almost. And how about the job turned in by the youngster Bobby Howry? Oh yeah, the White Sox have some bullpen too. Ooh, headed to the ninth. Top of the ninth, and Bobby Howry K's A-Rod and Edgar Martinez.
How about these kids stepping up for the Chicago White Sox? This team was not even supposed to be in the postseason, let alone being able to make pitches like that. And how about that? The two guys leading the cheerleading over there, James Baldwin to begin with, and also the veteran Harold Baines.
Two guys most dangerous in this series for Chicago step to the plate. Ray Durham and Jose Valentin. Neither has gotten a hit today after they came in games 1 and 2 with the combined 5 hits. Although Durham just rifled his last ball to third and was robbed by David Bell.
Well, when Rhodes came in game 2, he retired the first 2 guys he faced. Then he walked Durham and Valentin. He had to be relieved after that. Jose Mesa came in and got Frank Thomas and also Maglio Ordonez on a great play.
Frank due up third. He'll have his chance here in the ninth. Still looking for his first hit. 1 and 2. The count to Ray Durham. Now the fans getting in this little crunch time here in the ninth. 1-1. Now they're starting to rattle that Space Needle a little bit. Strikeout for the first out of the ninth.
Think that latte's kicking in now.
About time.
Well, when you want to kick in the crowd, a strikeout a lot of times will do that. Arthur Rhodes just overpowering, as has been the Seattle Mariner bullpen.
Okay, right? Do you think the White Sox have gotten the point? 11 innings, nada against the bullpen. Here's Jose Valentin. He fouls Rhodes' pitch off.
You got to give their general manager Pat Gillick a lot of credit for that bullpen too. Everybody blamed him because Griffey Jr. left, but that wasn't his fault. What was his fault was that he went out and got Sasaki. He went out and got Arthur Rhodes. He got Olerud. He got McLemore. He got Sele.
He's done a terrible job, hasn't he?
6 for 6 in that free agent market. The 6th guy was Stan Javier.
Now the ferry's starting to rev up out in the sound.
They're on their feet, Boomer. They might just stay on their feet the rest of this ball game.
They do. A delayed call by McClellan, and they've come to a standstill at the Pike Street Market. Nobody's buying Dungeness. They're watching the game. Blue to the mound because Frank Thomas is coming to the plate.
Plus, Frank Thomas hit over 400 against left-handed pitchers. Let's bring in the right-hander.
Paniagua coming in to face the Big Hurt. 1-1, top of the ninth. Top of the ninth, and Arthur Rhodes has certainly done his job. Faced 3 batters, 2 of them struck out, and now on to face Frank Thomas, one of the stars for the Mariners in Game 1 out of the pen, Jose Paniagua.
Frank Thomas on the year hit 328, but he hit 407 against left-handed pitchers. Lou Piniella knows that. He goes out, he makes the move. But with Frank Thomas, you just never know when he's going to bust out. He's 0 for 9 in this series. He was 0 for only 1 time this year in a 3-game series, and that was against the Seattle Mariners back here at Safeco in May when he was 0 for 11, but always dangerous.
You wouldn't think that he had faced Paniagua that often, but they faced each other 10 times, and Frank is just 1 for 10. But you can throw all that out the window because you know with one swing of his bat, everything can change. 2 out here in the ninth, none on. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe here at ESPN. Glad you could join us for playoff pressure-packed pitching duel baseball at its finest. How will this turn out? Where are we going?
This game going to be like the Mets and Giants, where it was a pitching duel till right there at the end, and then offense came from everywhere.
One run might do it here, though. There's a different feel here. This is why they get great. Moments like this. 2-0 to Thomas.
Even though he's not got any hits, he continues to get on base via that base on ball. 3 times already Thomas has walked in this 3-game series.
One of those against Paniagua in Game 1, and he's close to getting another one from him.
Thus far, it kind of looks like an unintentional walk.
Frank's gotten a few of those over his career, don't you think?
From the guy sitting next to you.
Well, he gave him something, fouled it back in the 3-0 green light. Of course, he has it, but just wondering if that would be too easy, and Paniagua forgot to concentrate a little bit. They gave Frank the green-o.
Look at that, right where you want it, elevated, inner half. That's baseball. I mean, there are times that you're swinging good, and there are times like this for Frank Thomas that you're not.
Now it's a full count.
Who said this wasn't a baseball town?
It's been a baseball town since '95, I could tell you that. Out of play.
You know, we've given the bullpen and the pitching staff a lot of credit for Seattle. We got to give their veteran catchers, Joe Oliver and also Dan Wilson, some credit too. They have gone with the game plan. They study the game plan. They know what they're supposed to do. But when they see hitters adjust, you know, they're not slaves to that plan. They're able to adjust as well. They see somebody moving in the box, they make that adjustment.
Thomas eventually gets the walk. So the go-ahead run aboard in the person of the Big Hurt, and here is the other White Sox. With thunder in his bat at any moment, Maglio Ordonez. He did get a hit in this game. He's 1 for 3. Makes him 2 for 10 in the series. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors. White Sox 1 run, 4 hits, no errors. Mariners. White Sox run in the second, Mariner run in the fourth, and here we stand. In and up to Ordonez from Paniagua.
not gone the way that Lou Piniella predicted. He thought Paniagua could get Frank Thomas out. Paniagua has struggled with Ordonez in the course of their career. Ordonez hitting over 400.
On the corner outside, 1-1.
You got the left-hander Harold Baines on deck. Ideally, Lou Piniella would have a left-hander up in the bullpen. If he does, though, it's going to be a normal starting pitcher, Jamie Moyer or John Halama, depending on who's going to pitch tomorrow. Instead, it's Mr. Sasaki.
Harold Baines scored the only run of the game for the White Sox. Misses low to Ordonez. It's 2-1. Looking ahead to the Mariner ninth. Olerud, Javier, and Bell due up for Lou Piniella. And almost like a wave, a record 48,000 fans get on their feet. Struck out Ordonez in game 1 after he walked Thomas. Will it be the same? Yes, it is. How do you spell relief? You spell it Seattle Mariners heading to the bottom of the ninth at Safeco. 1-1. Bottom of the ninth, and the Mariners hoping to move on to the ALCS if they can break through. Because Paniagua broke through Ordonez. Yikes. And the Mariners hope to party all night long if they can get this done right here.
Well, to do it, they're going to have to score a run. We've talked about the shadows. We've seen the conditions. It's tough to hit the ball hard. But if you put somebody on, you can put people in motion. You can play little ball, as Lou Piniella talked about it. I know I've got the heart of the order. I got 3 former batting chaps, one of them leading off this inning in John Olerud. But the best of the guys, they have to be able to bunt. They have to be able to move runners. If Olerud can get on, we'll see how far they can advance him.
Olerud, Javier, and Bell here in the 9th inning. And we told you that a pair of submariners, righty and lefty, for the Chicago White Sox, and this is Kelly Wunsch on to face the left-handed Olerud. Inside to John, it's 2-0. Wunsch, another 6'5" from Houston, Texas, against native Seattle, Bellevue, Washington, John Olerud. Seattle advanced to the ALCS once before in their final at bat. Of course, they would have more chances after this, but the opportunity is there. And there's Stanley in the on-deck circle. 3-1. Olerud looking for his 3rd walk of the game. And Wunsch may be hurt.
hopefully it just knocked the breath out of him, Boomer.
I think that's the case.
With the count 3-1, all he could think about was, I've got to throw a strike. Forget about fielding your position. He threw the strike, and by then it was too late to react to the ball that was hit like a rocket right back at him.
Well, hurt or not, he's going to be lifted. Here it is. Yikes.
Absolutely no time to react right there. Once it hit him, though, he had a terrific reaction. Look at him go down. He slipped. When he doesn't come up cleanly with it, that's when panic sets in. The throw gets away from him. The first base coach, John Moses, saying, get going, get going. I don't care who was playing first base there. Absolutely nothing Frank Thomas could do. You can see in the background, though, Ray Durham doing a good job hustling. Otherwise, Olerud might have gotten to third. Oh, my goodness, that hurts.
Wunsch, yeah, he was more the breath than anything else, but there's a pitching change and a base hit on there on the pitcher, obviously, and Olerud, the winning run. Potential winning run at second, and now the closer for the White Sox. Keith Folk is going to come in a tie game, but you know what? You don't hold them at bay here. What are you saving a closer for? Next April. Folk obviously did not get the job done in game number 1, as he was the one tagged by Edgar Martinez with a 2-run homer. John Olerud with a solo homer in the 10th inning.
Well, now the question for Lou Piniella is, do I want to take 3 shots at getting a base hit and driving in John Olerud, or do I want Javier to sacrifice, bring the infield in, bring the outfield in, and try to pick up the run via the sac fly with a man on third and less than 2 outs?
Ricky Henderson, the all-time stolen base leader among others, 41 years young, has replaced Olerud as the pinch runner. Olerud with a standing O from his native fans. John once again is delivering big time in the postseason. He's a .304 hitter in the postseason coming in, and 2 walks and the key base hit here, and Ricky will lace him up. So I'm talking with Larry Bow, the third base coach, but I think Ricky knows his way around the bases, don't you?
Well, how about Lou Piniella knowing how to set up his bench going into the postseason as well? He's got speed there. He's got a switch hitter in Carlos Guillen. He's got power if he needs somebody to hit a home run in Jay Buhner on that bench. He's got Al Martin there. Javier, a guy normally a bench player, comes in and drives in the first run of this game. Abanya is a guy normally not in the lineup. Well, he scored the only run in this ball game for Seattle.
The Mariners have won 10 games this year in their final at bat. 2 of them won by Stan Javier. Not trying to win it here. He moves Ricky to third. Graffinino the throw to Durham, and 90 feet away are the Mariners from becoming the last team in the playoffs, but the first team moving on.
Perfectly executed sacrifice by Stan Javier. Make the third baseman come off the bag and field the ball. Ricky with a clean shot to third. Look at him. You got the bat there. All you do is simply catch the baseball with the bat. You don't go out and get it. By doing that, he deadens it enough to where it doesn't get all the way to third. Nothing Graffinino can do but come get it. And now hope Bobby Howry can keep this ball in the infield.
The man at third base has scored more runs than anybody in Major League history other than Ty Cobb. Can he score one of the biggest runs in Mariner history? David Bell to hit. Outfield in, center field, he can almost, it's like a short fielder in softball.
Bell taking a long look at third. You bunted him to third base. Do you try to get him home with the bunt?
Do you think of walking? Well, there's one ball walking Bell to set up a double play with Oliver due up?
Well, I would imagine then you would probably see Al Martin pinch hit.
Well, he may not intentionally do it, but it may happen anyway.
Lou Piniella knows his personnel. Might give David Bell a shot here. Watching Bell right there, though, he went to his belt. When you get the sacrifice, a squeeze bunt from the third base coach, all the hitters have an answer. I guess the answer is not the belt.
Western teams in the playoffs. 96 on in the AL, 2-12. They're 3-1 this year, and if they go to 4-1 right here, Seattle will be just waiting for the A's and Yanks to beat up on each other. There's the walk anyway to Bell. The double play possibility is there, and we'll see if you're right with Lou's move, and Oliver quickly back to the rack.
Instead of Al Martin, he's going to go with Carlos Guillen.
Been hurt. He is one of the many.
I think the main reason he's going with Guillen's a good low ball hitter. Folks' best pitch is that changeup. It was a changeup that Edgar Martinez hit out of the ballpark in extra innings to win Game 1.
If there is anything more fitting, the old Mariners of Randy Johnson and Ken Griffey gone, one of the players who came over in the trade with Houston for Randy Johnson is at the plate right now, Carlos Guillen. Very interesting how sometimes history works out, if it does.
Well, and they say too that not only coming over to fill the shoes or help do that for Randy Johnson, if A-Rod leaves, this will be the guy that plays shortstop for them next year.
Bottom of the ninth, one out. Henderson, the winning run at third. Bell at first. Fouled it off.
There's that changeup. And that's one pitch that has always bothered Al Martin. He's a good fastball hitter.
Outfield is almost in on the infield, which is almost in on the plate. Ricky Henderson, the pinch runner for Olerud, is at third, and David Bell is at first. Junior Griffey scored the run which advanced Seattle the last time. Will it be another future Hall of Famer in Ricky Henderson this time? Drag bunt. There it is. The Mariners have won. Late Sunday afternoon in Anaheim, and the Mariners were the last team to get in the playoffs. It is mid-afternoon in Seattle on Friday, and the Mariners are the first team moving to the next round.
Boomer, they scored 14 runs in this series. 12 of them scored when the leadoff runner got on base, and a lot of times because of Lou Piniella advancing those runners. He bunted the man to third, he bunts him home, and now they're heading to the next level.
An improbable to many three-game sweep of the team with the best record in the American League, the White Sox. And this blend of young